So in the regional languages, are we fluent and comfortable in writing about the sexual act, sexual descriptions, or do we also have bad sex writing in our regional languages?
There's always bad sex writing and good sex writing, and what sells is bad sex writing, because you don't have to think. But I think the best good sex writing is in Bangla, in Bengali literature. I think it is dealt with greatest sensitivity and at the same time very openly. And also I think Malayalam, and to my knowledge, I may be absolutely wrong. But you know what happens in writing in English, Indian writing in English, is that it is sort of deliberately put in, because it has to sell in the abroad. So certain sexual scenes are deliberately put in, and you can quite, make out that, okay, now this is there because it has to be there, kind of thing, even if it is not the need of the theme. But, for a long time, the young people, the very young generation is very uncomfortable in talking about sex in their own language. They always revert to English. You'll find that, in the films and all, every time that it is I love you, Excepting in Bangla, where they will nicely say, Amitabh tomake bhalobashi. But otherwise, they will revert to I love you, because there is some kind of a, I think, reticence about it. You are reticent about it. You can't talk about
it's taboo
sex openly. Though the Sanskrit, is so open, so graphically, you read any of the Kalidas's texts, or even Banbhat later on, you find that it is so beautifully, aesthetically, and graphically also done. But somehow, I think it was an influence of the British rule, the Victorian morality, because there was no such thing in India. Nobody was shy of taking out their clothes or looking at nude figures or things like that. But it only came much later. It came with Victorian morality, and then it just took hold of us, and we became very reticent about writing about sex, unless we reverted to, because English, we thought it creates a distance. It's not so close to you. So when you talk about very intimate things, if you talk in English, somehow you feel safe. So that is why it might be there. But otherwise, I don't think there is any problem about bad or good sex.
So learn Sanskrit if you want to read some good sex writing.
Yes, absolutely.
Don't we have a Lady Chatterley's Lover in Malayalam or in Bengali?
There must be. There must be. Lady Chatterley's Lover is no longer very shocking. It was at that time.
Last question.
Yeah.
We close the session.
Mridula ji, I remember when I read about your comments. You categorize writings in 3 different categories: female, feminine, and feminist.
Yes.
Can you describe it? What do you mean exactly by that?
I have a question which is related. Let me say that. What you said was very interesting because, sex in the local language probably brings a lustiness to it, brings an earthiness to it, and connects you to your roots, which have been smacked at in different ways by colonial understanding of India.
Yes.
And at the other level, I love you has a modernity to it, has civility
I love
to
you.
it.
I love Coca-Cola. I love you.
Yeah, probably that is what kind of creates this thing that we
Distance.
yeah, from
Safety.
yeah, yes.
Yeah, feminine, feminist, and female. At one time there was this. There were certain norms which women were supposed to follow in their conduct, in their life, in writing. There's certain abuse words, swear words you could not use. There's certain graphic sexual depictions you could not do. So that was feminine writing, and you had to be again sentimental. And recently there was a conference of Afro-Indian women writers, and I'm surprised that these African writers, women writers, kept saying that there is a genre. Woman writing is a separate genre. Now, I don't think so at all. But that sentimental and slightly syrupy and not so cruel, not so brutal, that kind of writing was feminine writing. Then of course with the feminist movement came the writing where writing of, it always starts as a writing of protest and Dalit writing, black writing, women's writing, was writing of protest. And there was a tinge of activism in it, that it was definitely written with the idea that women are oppressed, that there is a sense of injury, that injury is being done to women by the rules of patriarchy, by men or by the system. So that was feminist writing, where it was done with that purpose. Though personally I feel that there can be feminist women, but there is no such thing as a feminist literature, because literature cannot be just propagating an idea. So that was a short period of time when that feminist writing took over. Then it grew out of it. And from the writing of protest, it became the writing of dissent. And in any case, I think that dissent is synonymous with literature. Literature is about dissent. So when it became the writing of dissent, then you were no longer conscious that you were writing as a woman, or that injury had been done or injury had not been done. And by that time you had developed your own canons and you had developed your own metaphors. Because most important are the metaphors which develop while writing. I'll give you one example, the metaphor of motherhood. Now, motherhood was the most contentious, one of the most contentious ideas which was dealt with, concepts which was dealt with, feminism. In France, they actively propagated abortion, and women writers, some of the women writers, I don't know how many of you know it, they said they had had an abortion when they hadn't had, including Beauvoir's sister, just to profess that we can have it, it's a right that they were wanting. But in Indian writing that never happened. Motherhood was never rejected for a very great length of time. And then you change the metaphor. Your motherhood became not giving birth to children, not bringing up children, your own or adopted or any children, but it became a nurturing principle. So you nurture children, you nurture anybody in need, you nurture institutions, you nurture the environment, and so then once it becomes a nurturing principle, it also applies to men. So men can also have matritva. They can also have this, principle of motherhood. After all, Buddha and Baba Ramdev and people like that, they were not women. And Mother Teresa never had any children. So it becomes a nurturing principle. Now this is an important contribution of female literature. So that's how that's the difference.
Okay, one last question.
Do you have any place for Ardhanari?
Ardhanarishwar.
Yeah.
For Ardhanarishwar, yes. In fact, my novel Kachgular ends with that. It is about the confrontation between men and women. It ends with that. It has one male protagonist. It has 4 women, and this male protagonist is more female than the female protagonists, if you think of some female qualities like matritva and all that. And it ends with that if you accept the principle of Ardhanarishwar, then there is no confrontation. Every man has a feminine side and every woman has a masculine side. And I've always said that if you're talking about feminist discourse, then you should also talk about masculinist discourse. Because there may be a patriarchy, but there has never been a definite masculinist discourse. Nobody has thought of it. It's just taken for granted. So Ardhanarishwar is the ultimate answer. That's what I feel.
Okay, one last question.
What are the challenges faced by the regional writers?
Challenges are the same, I think. Same challenges faced by a writer wherever he may be. First challenge is that why does he want to write? He has to be at least partially mad to be want to write, because after all so much has already been written. One has really nothing very new to say. But it is only that it is your own way that you want to put things. You want to put things in your own individual way. It is your own individual truth. Now, if you have to ask, should I write? Then you should not write. You write because you have to write. And basically the challenge is to write. The rest either will take care of itself or it will not. There is no definite answers to that.
As Jenny was saying, Jenny Pinto was saying in the earlier session, the world is saturated with images, digital photographs and images and pictures and paintings and all that. Why don't we take any more pictures? And the answer to that is because you want to take a picture. So why do you write any more books? Because you want to write. So why do you write any more original literature? Because you want to. It's your story, you have to tell it.
You have to tell it in your own language.
All right, with this we'll close this session.